equal liberty than has ever prevailed in other parts of the world must be established in America.
John Adams, the second President of the United States of America, may well have been the most important founding father. His contributions were always overshadowed by George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. But if it wasn't for John Adams, we'd still be toasting the Queen of England. In addition of being a great speaker and thinker, John Adams also loved to eat. When he arrived in Philadelphia for the First Continental Congress, his first stop with his cousin Samuel was my restaurant, City Tavern. So already I like the guy. So the meal I'm making today is actually close to my heart because I had to make it many, many times. It's called a classical New England boiled dinner. But let me tell you something, the name doesn't do it justice because what happens is it's quite an extraordinary dish. Today we have 3 proteins. We got fresh ham, we got big chickens, and we have brisket. In the 18th century, this would have been served for big events. Sometimes maybe a marrow bone, some tongue, some sausage. Matter of fact, when I worked in Italy, we used to serve the bollito misto on Sundays, and it would be all the different proteins in a warm cart, and you slice the table side. So it hasn't been forgotten, but it definitely has its roots at the 18th century. The one I'm making today, however, is a really festive dish that I'm sure at Adams' residency would have been served when visitors came or some big special events. Now I grant you, this dish can be intimidating, but try it anyway. So I'm going to put the brisket right over. I got my water on the stove getting hot, absolutely nothing in it. It's going to get a little salt and peppercorns, but right now I'm putting in some root vegetables. And there's no right, no wrong for that. Quite frankly, whatever you have laying around. I got some onions that I don't peel for that because I like the skin for a little coloring. A little stack of celery. The top part is perfect. A little celery root. And very important, with some leek into it. For this particular thing, use the green for extra flavor, just like so. So it goes right on top of the brisket. And this is going to simmer down, and the brisket obviously is going to shrink when it starts cooking. It takes about 1 hour and 45 minutes to possibly 2 hours, depending on the size of the brisket. The second protein I'm putting in the fire right now is a fresh ham. That's a fresh ham that has not been pickled or cured, as you call it. And all this is going to get is an onion piqué, which is really just an onion with bay leaf. Lucky today we got some fresh bay leaves, which is actually more flavor. And all I'm adding in there is a couple of cloves to hold it in. So I'm going to put this right here. And I have some water. Good amount of salt. Remember, this is completely fresh, so uncured. You don't want to be shy on the salt. And then we put some pepper on top of there. Again, no shy on the pepper. I'm going to throw a couple extra bay leaves in the stock, and it goes in the oven. There we go. Perfect. That'll take about 2 hours to 2.5 hours. More than anything else, John Adams' speech to convince the Continental Congress to unanimously pass the Declaration of Independence was his crowning achievement.
In 1770, British soldiers fired upon Boston residents, killing 5 men. During the trial that followed the Boston Massacre, John Adams defended the British soldiers in court.
Facts are stubborn things.
He demonstrated colonial America's sense of fairness and his gifts of persuasion.
They cannot alter the state of facts or evidence.
Adams arrived in Philadelphia in 1774, representing Massachusetts at the Continental Congresses. He soon realized that George Washington was the ideal commander to lead the Continental Army. In 1776, Adams and Jefferson together were placed on a committee to write the Declaration of Independence.
Mr. Adams, you should write the Declaration.
No, Mr. Jefferson, you must write it.
Why?
Reasons enough.
What can possibly be your reasons?
Reason first, you are a Virginian, and a Virginian ought to be at the head of this business. Reason second, I am obnoxious, disliked, and unpopular.
Very well then, if you are decided, I will do as well as I can.
Jefferson is remembered as the author of the Declaration of Independence, but Adams' impassioned oratory on the floor of Congress made the case to adopt it.
The decree has gone forth and cannot be recalled that a more equal liberty than has ever prevailed in other parts of the world must be established in America.
Hear, hear.
I am certain that the end is more than worth the means.
John Adams may well be our most important founding father. His contributions over 50 years of service to his new country have only recently been appreciated. His rivalry with Thomas Jefferson for his place in history lasted until his dying breath. Adams' last words were, "Jefferson survives." Adams was wrong. Jefferson had died just hours earlier. Both authors of America's birth passed away on the same day, the 4th of July, exactly 50 years after their 1776 masterpiece.
Next protein is the chicken. If you can get a stewing hen is the best, has much more flavor. Or you can also get, this is like an 8-pound oven roaster you can get in every supermarket. But like I said, stewing hen has more flavor, it takes not so much time for cooking. What you want to do on that is you're going to just take a string, you tie this bird up, and the reason we want to tie it up so it looks very pretty later when we start dressing it up. So a sprig of thyme, the cavity, a little bit of parsley. There we go. A little bit of onion, a cavity, a little bit of leek. If I wouldn't tie it up, then the bird would look disjointed. So this way, it'd be beautiful for the presentation later, fit for John Adams. Here we go. Just roast it up like that. And it's going to go in its water right behind me. All right, here we go. The water on top. That's some serious cooking here. Now I'm going to follow the same principle as I did earlier with the brisket. Just cutting up a couple of root vegetables, whatever you have. Carrot, a little bit of onion, a little bit of leek, a little bit of celery stalk, and a little bit of celery root. A couple of cloves, and a bay leaf, and I'm throw this right on top of my chicken. As you see me cooking this fantastic brisket and this huge chicken, obviously get a dynamite stock out of it. In the 18th century and nowadays, you would not discard it stock. Make a very, very good bouillon. And today what we're going to do is a bouillon with root vegetables and a pancake that has all the different herbs in it. That gets later julienned. And I have this fantastic 18th century soup terrine that we're going to serve it in. This is a meal that would have been served wintertime, fall. So ideally, you use vegetables that winter extremely well, such as parsnip, turnips, rutabaga, carrots. You could put potatoes into it, but I omit them. I don't like potatoes in this particular soup. You want to cut it, like I already pre-cut, in a very small dice. And I think what's important about it is that you want to keep the dice pretty uniform. So that not only it looks pretty, but it also they cook in the same time. Celery root, turnips. And when you cut it, just cut it like that. It's really, really simple. We call this technically a brunoise. Brunoise. I got a pot on the fire getting hot. I got a little oil. Any kind of oil would work. I wouldn't use no butter. Oil is perfect for that. I cut a little onion. Garlic I already chopped. Move over to my pot. Garlic, onion. I just want to give a little bit of heat to it, no color. It's just, we call it sweating it down, just glazing up a little bit. Now goes the vegetables in it. Important about this dish is that you want to put no liquid into it. Just basically the vegetable to reduce them down, so you get all the flavor and the goodness come out of it. So take some time. Bay leaf, throw it in the pot. This is simmering. It's going to take a little bit. The slow fire is better because I want the root vegetables slowly to simmer down to get the flavor out of it later for the soup. The vegetables are really reducing beautiful, just the way I planned it. Just gorgeous. A little bit more, then later it stuck into it. John and Abigail Adams lived in Boston. They were a non-Virginian founding family. Oh, Kelly, wow, what a kitchen. I would love to just start cooking in here.
Well, this is where John Adams would spend his very early childhood.
It's kind of Spartan a little bit, no?
Well, this is a typical 18th century home. John's parents might be considered working class.
He was always a modest person, so this reflects the
Absolutely.
place.
Very honest, salt of the earth family.
That was made him such a great president for the United States.
So this is the house John and Abigail moved into in 1764 on their wedding day.
Abigail Adams, mother of 5 children, tended their farm and ran their house, while John was in Philadelphia creating a new country.
Of the 20 years they lived here, he's gone probably about 10 years of that. Here I hold some copies of Abigail's letters. She and John Adams would send back and forth thousands of letters to each other. Clearly, it was a love story. And yet, the British are 30 minutes away from Abigail, and there's a big price on John Adams's head. This puts Abigail in great danger. So she writes to John, "What should I do if the British come to the door?" And John Adams wrote back to Abigail, "Take the children and flee to the woods." And I always think that's really quite a statement, because John Adams adores his wife. He would have done anything for her, yet he didn't come home. That means what he was doing at that time in Philadelphia was so vitally important. He put the whole country first. He put it before his wife and children, which is pretty amazing.
I'm making the crepe butter, which is very simple. All-purpose flour, full eggs, middle milk, nutmeg, salt, pepper, and the variety of herbs you want to put into it. Couple of eggs. Put milk, and you want to make it so the batter is thick enough and thin enough so it can still spread out. Let it sit for a little bit. Salt. Then I have nutmeg. Nutmeg is important for that, and it has to be always freshly ground nutmeg. If you get nutmeg store-bought, no good, because it has zero flavor. So now you just whisk a little bit more. You make sure that your batter has the right consistency. There we go. Now, parsley is chopped. Put some chives into it. So I got my griddle pan, get nice and hot. So it's important that you have the batter so it lets itself spread out, but you want to make sure it's not too thin. It's about just perfect like that. God. This is just how I needed it. Absolutely perfect. Now I'm going to take the stock, which is the stock from the beef and the chicken combined, half and half. All I'm going to do is add this stock. Now I just want to make sure I get a little taste to make sure that it has enough salt and pepper. And nutmeg, oh, it's perfect. Very beautiful. Pepper, salt it doesn't need. Some pepper and some nutmeg. The pancakes are all done behind me. And all it goes is you want to take a sharp knife, and then you want to cut those in a very long julienne, like so. Very long julienne. I'm in luck today. I get to use an 18th century terrain. Imagine how often that happens. Not very often. So here I go. I have the grapes chopped up. I put them right in the bowl. So now I'm tapping it. Look at it. This is like, I tell you, I get so excited when things work out the way I like to see it. Now I'm topping it off. Beautiful. Make sure. Absolutely spectacular. Let me get a few chive flowers. And the chive flower has a lot more flavor than like regular chives. It's just more powerful for that. Let's just chop it fine. Put it on top of the soup. Get some parsley over it. And place the beautiful terrine on top of this gorgeous platter. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Presidents take the oath of office with their left hand on the Bible and their right hand in the air. So do people about to testify in court. Why is that? In a practice that dates back centuries and was still in effect during the time when Adams was a lawyer in Boston, criminals were branded with a hot iron.
There's a P on this finger for perjury, there's a T on this finger if you're a thief. Sometimes it was here and sometimes it was here. They would brand them with an M, and the M stood for manslaughter. This meant if they ever committed manslaughter again, someone would actually look at their hands, they would be caught red-handed, they would never be given the benefit of clergy again.
Criminals were literally branded for life with their records for everyone to see.
They did this for a simple reason. They wanted honest politicians. If you take the oath of office, you put your hand on the Bible, you lift up your hand, and basically you're showing people you are crime-free.
This might be a useful reminder for today's politicians.
Two hours go fast when you have fun cooking like me. So now we're almost ready to finalize this fantastic boiled dinner. The first thing I'm gonna do right now, I have some cabbage in front of me. All I'm doing is I'm cutting the cabbage in a wedge like so. I'm gonna cut the core out, just like that. You can also use Savoy cabbage if you like, but for this particular recipe, I prefer straight out regular cabbage. Cabbage does not take a long time at all because you want to keep it a little bit al dente. So I'm gonna put this right in the fire behind me. I'm gonna make the horseradish with beets that goes along with the boiled dinner. You wanna get fresh horseradish, and you just wanna grate it. You will do the same thing with beets. It's a beautiful vegetable, very healthy, very great to eat. You just wanna grate it the same way, right over the grater. Mix the two together. Just mix it up like it and let it stand for a little bit. Ooh. Nothing needs to be in it at all. Maybe a little water. Some people put vinegar into it. We put it in a bowl. It'll be ready to be served up in a little bit with our boiled dinner. Whew. It is fantastic. Hot, spicy, flavorful. So the cabbage is perfectly blanched. The chicken is ready. The brisket is ready. The ham is ready. And so are the vegetable and the potatoes ready. So let me get the cabbage over here. Now do you know why I work out? So the cabbage is perfectly blanched. Oh yeah, just the way you want it. Mm-hmm. The cabbage down. All right. Now I'm gonna go get the brisket. £50. The wine. Got the brisket. I'm gonna get my ham out of the oven. See all the liquid evaporated out, it's just what you're looking for. Now with the ham, you're gonna just trim a little bit of the fat off. I'm just gonna slice down. All right, there's the chicken. Now you see why earlier I tied it up. If I wouldn't put the string around it, the chicken would be all deformed. Take the string off, and then take a little bit of the breast. Here we go. Quality check. Oh, I love to eat them. Beautiful. Now comes the potatoes I put on the fire a while ago. Yukons, and I have birthplace potatoes. And then finish garnishing my boiled dinner. Some carrots, Brussels sprouts, parsnips, turnips, have some leek, a little bit of the stock over it. A little parsley in here, and then on top of it, a big sprig of fresh parsley. And here you have it, my New England boiled dinner in tribute of John Adams, served together with the bouillon, with the herb grape, brisket, chicken, ham, vegetable, potatoes, horseradish and beets. It's a fact that John Adams started every morning with a tall glass of hard apple cider. He said it was his secret to longevity. And let's see how apple cider is made right here at Charles Thompson Estate. There's no bigger apple enthusiast than John Adams.
That is, unless you're talking about Charles Thompson. You're here at Harrington House.
And for that matter, I'm here trying some of the Thomas Jefferson's favorite apple. The
Spitzenberg, that's right. The Spitzenberg.
Want to try a piece of that? Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. You know, I just was up in Braintree, Massachusetts, visiting John Adams' estate. And he was known to make a very, very fantastic cider. And you know what fantastic cider meant?
Absolutely, it's a little alcohol.
And I guess it depends on the variety of apples you use. Obviously, the more sugar, the higher the kick.
Yes, the higher the alcohol content when the cider ferments. And there are different varieties of apples. In fact, there were no apples in North America before settlement. We may be as American as apple pie, but we're not as American as apples because they come from Eastern Central Europe.
Yeah, you know, John Adams, you know, every morning before breakfast, guess what he had?
Cider. Apple cider. Hard cider. And everybody had their own sort of blend of apples to create their cider. We know that Charles Thompson created cider right here at Harrington.
Hi, Bruce. Go give me a hand now. Oh, I tell you, I'm sure glad I had my cereal this morning. Yeah. Boy, it's really running good, huh?
You want to try that?
Yes.
There you go, sir.
Let me see, I'll be the first to try that one. Wow.
Is that good?
Oh, is it good?
First time I drank cider out of a chamber pot.
Fantastic. And it's so beautiful, it's fresh, it's natural, there's no additives, no preservatives. I mean, I don't understand why we lost touch with it. Cider played such an important role in 18th century America. It's nice to see it firsthand.